Cinderella Chats. I'm your host, Cinderella Field. Yes, that's really my name, along with your co-host, Sandy Hunter. We are so excited to be here to share some insight about life, love, and relationships. So let's get to it. Hey, Sandy.
Good morning. How are you?
Good morning. I'm great. How are you?
I'm doing good.
Awesome.
Still sound a little nasally, but I'm okay.
That's a good thing. I'm glad that you're feeling better.
Yes.
Must have been the elderberry tea.
It was definitely the elderberry tea.
And the lemon and the honey. And
That's all the above.
and Aaron making you stay still for a minute.
Yeah, that's hard.
Right.
That's hard to do.
Right. I wanted to I really didn't want to do this during the season, but I mean, one of the things that, I told you when we were at breakfast last time was one of our listeners, sweet listeners, and she's obviously very compassionate and caring and all that stuff, was kind of worried about me during the holiday season, right?
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to just check in and make sure that I was okay, because when you go through a divorce, it's not easy.
No, it's not easy. And I think sometimes Cinderella is so, and I'm going to speak about you while I'm looking at you. To her audience, she is very, very compassionate about everything that she does, from cleaning her house to her beautiful home to the relationships that she has with other people to her job. I mean, she's just very, very compassionate about things. And what I find is that when a person goes through something like a divorce or the loss of a loved one, it's very hard sometimes when you talk about it not to feel those same emotions that you felt at the time you were going through it. And I think we had a one particular episode that one of our listeners showed a lot of concern. I mean, she was like, Cinderella, I just don't want to see her be depressed and blah, 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 blah. And of course I have to reiterate, okay, this has been 6 years now?
Well, 3 years since the divorce. It'll be 3 years this coming March in 2024. So
3 years. And I will just put it out there for you. My friend is completely healed. She is just really compassionate for those who are going through a divorce, especially this time of year. It's not something easy. I have watched her struggle with stuff that God has had her talk about. And let me just ease the minds. She is 100% healed, and she is knocking it out of the ballpark right now. So with that being said, you can talk now, Cinderella.
I'm over here smirking. Okay.
She by no means has let that govern who she is. She's not a scorned woman. She's not somebody out trying to seek revenge. She's not none of this stuff. She is truly passionate about helping those that are sitting at home, struggling, trying to get out of bed and make life work for them as they're going through a divorce or they're going through the loss of a loved one, because it's a grieving process. And we've had people write us, we've had people phone us, we've had people give their comments about their stories and their situations. And you would be really surprised how a lot of the stories mirror each other. I mean, there's a lot of hurt, a lot of pain, and a lot of struggle. And I think and Cinderella can attest for you, I was divorced at a very, very young age, and I was not married that long. I was only married a little over a year. So my divorce and Cinderella's divorce are two totally opposite things. So,
you mean 1 year versus 30 years?
Yeah. And that would be
quite a bit of difference.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. Absolutely. And so no matter what year of divorce that you're in or what year of the loss of a loved one you're at, it's still all painful. and we can get emotional. We can step up to the plate and feel that pain because we've been there and we've done that. And Cinderella more so. I mean, she has had more attachment to it, but just so you know, my friend is a thriving, beautiful businesswoman who has so many things in the fire right now. She talks about me being busy all the time, but you have not seen her irons. They're everywhere. I mean, you can practically step on them when you walk in the house. She's got so many things going on. So that being said, to those who are listening that have had some concerns, it's all good. Trust me. But go ahead, Cinderella.
Well, I mean, I remember when my children both said to me, what you need to be doing, Mom, is writing and sharing your story with other women because it could help so many people.
Yes.
And I knew that I had to heal to a certain point because I'll be honest with you. I mean, this was one of the hardest things that I've ever been through in my life because I loved the person that I was married to.
Still love.
Yeah. I mean, I have even said, that I still love him. I will always love him. I mean,
Yes.
for goodness sakes, we had a long history together. We have children together. We have grandchildren together.
Mm-hmm.
And that will never stop. We are blood tied, not
Absolutely.
just soul tied, but blood tied. And I look at my son sometimes and I'm like, oh my gosh, he acts just like him, looks like him.
Image.
Yes.
He is the spitting image of his father. Sorry,
And
Cinderella.
Lisa is to a certain degree. I mean, in her coloring, but she looks like me. It's just very interesting,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, it's hard to be with someone that long and know that God has had put you on different directions for the time being. I mean, you never know what God's plan is. And I just know that you are a very strong woman. I mean, I just want you guys to know, and I know there are strong women out there, and you have to just keep moving forward, and you just have to keep doing the path God has put you on. And it's been amazing to watch. I mean, I'm not going to lie. It's been amazing, the strength that you've shown during all of this.
Well, I mean, every once in a while behind closed doors, I'm not going to lie, I still, especially during the holiday seasons, because that was a very important time to us,
right,
as a family.
Mm-hmm.
So to have to start over and recreate and,
form new traditions and that kind of thing.
And yes. And then, I mean, there are certain things that happened that my children, they just, at first, it was just really, I don't know. It's just the dynamics of everything has changed. And I'm not the kind of person that wants to, I mean, history is history.
Sure.
And it's there for a reason. Mm-hmm. Memories that are locked in our hearts will always be there.
Sure.
Like Christmases that we had together, the gifts that we exchanged, the things that we did that, for our children, our children never, I hope that not a child is listening because they never caught us being Santa Claus. And I mean, we would, get up at a certain time of the morning and he would put together the bikes or whatever. And I mean, they never caught us. Then they tried. They later admitted that they tried to, and they just could never catch us. And
cherishable memories.
Yes, and the elves knocking at the door and all of that stuff to kind of lead up to Christmas because we didn't have Todd back then.
No, we just had pooping reindeers outside, where you throw down the dirt and put in fake tracks. And I get you.
How come we didn't think of Elf on the Shelf? We could have made a ton of money.
Millionaires.
I mean, come on. Multi-millionaires. What's wrong with us? But I mean, we had to really think up things like that,
Sure.
And then the trips to Vail and all that stuff. So, and sometimes, I mean, really, the longer that a couple is married, it's hard on the children. It's really
very
difficult
hard
because they're grown.
Yeah.
They have a history.
And they have to find a new norm. And, especially if like one of the parents is deceased and is no longer there.
Yes.
They can never have a chance to recapture those memories. With a divorced parent, when they're little, usually They go on to recreate new traditions with a dad that may be married to another woman and different kids, or a mom that be married to another man and different kids. So new traditions can be start, but once we talked about this, once the children get older, and that's all they've ever known, and they went on to have kids on their own, sometimes I think it's even kind of harder on the older kids.
No, from all the, I do research on everything.
I do.
Because I'm really kind of a nerd, you guys.
She's a very big computer nerd or research nerd. I'm telling you, she'd make the perfect PI.
Yes, but you know what? I don't want to do that because I don't want to see the terrible things that people do to each other to hurt each other. Yuck.
I know it.
Oh, but what I will say, and it really makes sense if you think about it, it's common sense that when you have a long history of two intact parents and a family, and you've created all these memories, it's hard to forget. So
sure,
those children might ask you not to even say that person's name. And then you take into consideration what's going on in that other person's new life, air quotes, and then social media. And sometimes other people do things they shouldn't do, and that makes it even worse, and it can create division even further and further.
A vicious line of division. I mean, to me, listen, people, social media, it's not social media's fault. Social media can be a good tool. It can be a good tool for God to use.
I love the computer for research and finding things. And
it can. Yes. That Satan also uses it. And sometimes when you have, and I seen this the other day, there's a young couple that we know, they've divorced, and dad's posting stuff online about the ex-wife, and mom's posting stuff online about the new boyfriend and the new family that she's created with this person. And stuck in the middle is her 12-year-old daughter, who is watching Facebook on both sides. And the one that's getting hurt.
That's what I'm saying. Do you know what I mean?
Yes. Is the 12-year-old who's watching mom go off and create this new world with this new person and these new kids. And then dad over here that's trying to pick up all the pieces, and she's listening to dad. And then she's seeing mom on this retrospect, and then she's been pulled into this other world and trying to, almost like a circle, trying to be squished into a triangle shape, So it's just been difficult. I've sat back and I wanted to say to both parents, stop posting crap on social media. Your kids are watching it, and it's driving. And that's what my friend that's got her new life going on over here, she can't understand why her 12-year-old wants nothing to do with her.
Oh my gosh. Well, I mean,
it's so sad.
Why.
Yeah, it's very sad. And I hate social media for that fact. I wish people would just grow up and keep their innuendos to themselves.
Well, you could even say it's a form of harassment and bullying.
Yes.
You know what I mean? But it's really a part of that person. I believe it has to do really with your moral values and
insecurities
and your character. It will say a lot about that kind of stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that being said, when I met Sandy, and I gave her the little book, and she, I think we said that she said, I pray for my clients, and it all started with the lashes. And I told her what I would like she said, would you like me to be specific? And I said, yes. I said, I need for God to show me clearly what to do. And so a few weeks later, she told me what God, basically said to her. And she doesn't hear voices, by the way, but she does hear from God, the Holy Spirit. So
I'm pretty sure I'm not schizophrenic. I mean,
Yes. But anyway, she told me that, this is basically what it was going to be. And then I couldn't come see her anymore because I was allergic to the glue. And she said, "Oh, can we still have lunch? Because I would miss you." And then the lunch turned into her bothering me about the podcast. And so I finally just said to her, "Really? Well, if you think I'm supposed to do this and God told you, then you just come do it with me." And she said, "Okay." And I didn't expect her to say that. And then I'm like, oh my goodness, between my son and my daughter, every time I would show up at a baseball game or when my battery died and my son had to come and do something with it, and they look at my car and they say, "When are you going to start doing the podcast, or when are you going to start writing? I mean, either do it or take the Chatmobile and unwrap it." Well, I did it to make myself do it. And I still couldn't do it. Mm-hmm. And my daughter named it the Chatmobile. And, my son, I needed a new battery. And he was like asking me as he was sitting there doing that, "When are you going to start doing this?" I'm like, "Have you and Lisa been talking to each other?"
And this girl over here, Sandy, my lash girl, she won't shut up about it.
No.
You know that it's God when you have so many confirmations. And you are, I don't know if anyone knows this, she's a very gifted author. And I am so excited. I cannot wait till your memoir comes out. I'm excited about you writing it. I can't wait to see the final book. I'm curious to know how Cinderella all came about. And I know our listeners are too. I've had a couple people ask me if, you were going to do a memoir.
You mean a tell-all?
Well, here's the one thing. Let me tell you, people. My co-host is classy.
Oh, God.
And even though she's been through some hard things, you will never see her Facebook post anything about any of her troubles, because we feel like as Christians and women of God, if you're not saying something to lift somebody up and edify, then guess what? You shouldn't be saying it at all.
But that's a hard line to stay on, because I am supposed to tell the truth. I know that for sure.
Absolutely.
And the truth does not feel good to hear.
No. And
it just doesn't, not even for me. I mean, I've learned a lot in these past several years, even about myself, and asking God to show me certain things about myself. And I mean, it's not fun.
No, nobody likes to look in the mirror. I'm going to tell you right now. I don't like
into your soul.
Yes.
Into your heart. Show me my heart.
Absolutely.
Show me where I did. Believe me, I know where I made mistakes.
Yes. And if I'm looking at you today and I said, Cinderella, the person you are today, if you were still with your husband, do you think you guys would have ever been divorced? Do you think things would have been different? I know it's a hard one.
I mean, my first response, just very quickly, only God knows that.
Yep.
But I do believe,
knowing that you know who you are as a person now, knowing that you know the things that God has changed in you and enlightened you, because I don't think God does anything in vain. I think what you guys have went through there's been a purpose and a reason, and just curious, I guess.
Well, I mean, I would say no, but that would depend on the other person's.
Sure. If God's
behaviors.
made those changes.
Right.
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
So I think it works both ways. But I mean, I was listening to Esther Pearl because I listened to all these things. And I think one of the biggest things in a marriage that becomes a problem is when people are doing too much. We don't take it the same way we do when we first enter into a relationship.
Right.
And so when the children grow and they go off and they do their thing, I mean, it's really important for people to stay focused on their relationship, to communicate, and to even share the, things that aren't fun to share with each other.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
You said it, communication. And that's what we don't have enough of.
Communication and intimacy.
Yes.
And not being selfish.
Absolutely.
Women need, okay, so I'm going to bring sex into it for just a second. So in order for men need to feel respected and wanted and needed and all of that good stuff.
Be the protector, the fixer, the whole 9 yards. Yes.
Yes. You're superhero. And then they need, sex is an important thing for most men. It just is. And they get confused because women, they need to be loved and showed attention and want you to sit down and watch movies with them. I'm not
Cattle.
that person. If he were sitting here, he would say she couldn't even sit through a movie, and there she goes, she's asleep. Because if I sat for just a moment, I'm exhausted. Because
Well, when you go, when you go 95 miles an hour and for,
so that would happen. But women need to feel emotionally connected to that person. So it's really important for both people to find out what makes the other person tick. And,
where that connection's at.
Yeah, and feel loved and feel wanted and needed. But women need to be emotionally connected in order to go,
right.
Oh my gosh, I want my husband.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I do. So, this time of year brings out a lot of happiness. But like you said, there are memories that can make one melancholy, can make one think.
Melancholy is a good word.
Yes. Not depressed, but just, I wish things could just have been different, and everybody has that. So don't necessarily think, and this is another thing, and I love my doctor. My doctor, bless his heart. He's an adamant believer in not just throwing antibiotics or pain medicine at people. He tries to get down to the heart of the matter. So there's a lot of people out there that can just scream, hey, I'm depressed. And they think taking a pill is going to cure them.
Well, what's depressing you? Or taking a drink of alcohol or
Yes.
smoking a joint or whatever your thing is that you reach for to keep it pushed down, I mean, that's why I remember being involved in Celebrate Recovery.
Yeah.
And we won't go there, but it can be a great program. And they teach you there that hurting people hurt people.
Yes. Hurting people
that's
hurt
just
others.
the truth. And when you're in a family, that's what and in a relationship, you feel comfortable with the other person and you just do it even with not knowing that you're doing it. But that being said, just this time of year, I think we need to pay close attention to that. And I will tell you this, that statistically, dot, dot, dot. One of the girls
My
I work
nerd friend,
with,
statistically.
she's 32 years old. She goes, I'm going to get you a t-shirt that says statistically, dot, dot, dot. January, February, and March.
Yep.
Big divorce filing time.
Absolutely.
Okay. So be aware of that and try to remember to be nice with each other, love each other, pay attention to each other, whatever it takes. Maybe sit down and say, can we have a talk about this or whatever?
Let's communicate. Let's figure out what each other's needs are. Listen, people, everybody's gas tank runs low. And when the light flips on and you can feel your light coming on, you need to go to your spouse or your partner and say, look, I'm having an issue with this. Sit down and be adult about it. Don't run. Don't run. Don't hide. Don't try to pretend that nothing's going on. That's a lot of the problem. People pretend this time of year, the statistics, ...
Yes.
for suicide even go up.
Absolutely.
So here's the thing, peeps, be real, be honest. If you're having issues, reach out to us, reach out to your medical profession, whatever. Don't harbor those feelings, whether it's going through a divorce, whether it's going through something that's tragically happened in your life. This time of year, usually the knife sticks in and twists a little bit and makes things a little bit more difficult. I know my family's having a difficult time right now. My mom's battling cancer. We've lost loved ones. And it just makes it so difficult this time of year. But let's try to see the sunshine through all the dark clouds. So reach out to us, reach out to those who can help you. Be aware if you know somebody that's talking to you about suicide or somebody that's having a difficult time, step up to the plate, reach out to them. Let them know that they aren't by themselves.
Right. And if somebody's behaving in a different kind of way, that's another thing that I've seen this on Facebook before, that we never know what people are going through,
Absolutely.
So we just have to be aware of all that. But before we end the segment, one of the things that I want to say will be a focus, and I'm not sure how we're going to, intertwine this in, but her divorce diary on my website at Cinderella Chats, her divorce diary was started for a reason because I learned so much about
certain things, different things,
about the family court system, about attorneys and things like that.
about plumbers. About plumbers.
Oh, yeah. Plumbers, financial people. I mean,
you
so
name
many
it.
things that, I learned about myself, just like working where I worked at the hospital. I would have never been there had I stayed married. I would have never seen what I saw that I could come back and talk about. I would not be where I am working today and get to know the women that I've.
And for those who don't know, she's an ambassador for Dolce & Gabbana, and she just does a wonderful job at it. A very elite, wonderful.
Well, it's a beautiful brand. It is a
Yes.
great brand.
Yes.
Dolce & Gabbana is a wonderful brand. Come see me at Woodland Hills if you need fragrance for men or women. I've got it.
She does great work for them.
And if you
Anyway,
don't, I can help you find
What
the
you
person
need.
what you do. I want you to be happy whenever we engage in that kind of way. So if it's not my stuff or not my line, because it's not stuff, it's a gorgeous,
it is
gorgeous
beautiful.
brand. So just reach out to us. But that being said, that's another thing that we'll talk about.
Sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So 'tis the season to be jolly. La 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 la.
I'm not even going to try.
Oh, come on, Sandy. Joking. Until next week, life, love, and relationships. If you enjoyed the show today, share it with your friends so they can listen in to our conversations about life, love, and relationships. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Cinderella Chats, the podcast. Don't forget to subscribe. We look forward to our Tuesdays together and know you will too.